Welcome everybody. I want to welcome you to the Monday, July 22nd, 2013 Placer County Board of Supervisors meeting. We will begin our meeting with a flag salute led by County Executive David Bosch.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the statement of meeting procedures?
Welcome to the Placer County Board of Supervisors meeting of Monday, July 22nd, 2013. Agendas are available on the table in this meeting room. If you are here to speak on the issue not appearing on the agenda, you may do so during the public comment period. There's a 3-minute time limit per speaker. The board is not permitted to take action on items addressed under public comment. When you speak, clearly state your name and address for the record. All items on the agenda will be open for the public to address before final action is taken. There's a 3-minute time limit per speaker, which will be monitored by a timer on the podium. If there is a person speaking on behalf of the group with no other testimony from another member of the group, please identify yourself as such, and your time may be extended at the pleasure of the board. Keep in mind that the chairman has discretion of limiting the total discussion time on any item. It is requested that all cell phones be either turned off or put in the silent mode. Thank you for your participation and cooperation.
Thank you, Ms. Holman. Well, now is the time for public comment. If there's anyone from the public that wishes to speak to the board about any item that is not on the agenda, now is the time to come forward.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Roger Kahn. I've lived in Tahoe City for about 53 years, and I wanted to commend the staff of Placer County. About 2 or 3 months ago, a group of us got together, Tahoe City leaders, including folks from the Resort Association, the Tahoe City Public Utility District, the Downtown Association, and a number of other private citizens. And we were talking about, we got David Bosch, and he came with, I think Jennifer Merchant was with him, Peter Kratz was there, Paul Griffith was there. And what we're trying to do is talk about some opportunities that we have in Tahoe City right now, as well as look into some ways that we can improve our community. And what I really wanted to commend the Placer County staff over was that we got this little group together. They immediately came back and came up with some suggestions and some ideas, and hopefully we're going to be meeting periodically over the next year or two and be able to make some real changes here in Tahoe City. So I wanted to thank David and the staff for that. And I also wanted to, since I can't be here tomorrow, I also wanted to give you guys a shout out and hopefully thank you for passing a resolution for some money for the community house in Kings Beach. I was involved with that from the get-go, and it's coming to fruition, and we thank you for all of the help that Placer County has given to the community house. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Anyone else wish to address the board under public comment?
Ditto what he said.
Oh, I don't think I've got your name.
Got your number.
Anybody else? All righty, thank you. We'll then move to the North Tahoe Resort Association Winter Marketing Performance Report and Summer Preview from the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association. Hi.
I'm sorry, got here a little late today. Is it okay for me to?
Public comments.
Oh, are you in a public comment?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, since you're,
Sorry about that.
since we're here.
Good evening. My name, thank you for allowing me to speak on something that I feel in my eyes is in crisis right now.
I need
My
your
name
name.
is Sharon.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were just giving your name. Go ahead.
Yes. My name is Sharon Duchesne. I live in Mr. Holmes District 3. Before I became an IHSS provider, I was a senior loan processor making $5,000 plus a year. I quit my job to take care of my significant other. He had, and due to health issues, and I took a drastic pay cut. I am now making under $500 an hour, or I was at that time. And it was a difficult decision for me to make that, but it was so he could be healthy and safety and he can get his dignity back.
Can I stop you for just a minute?
Yes.
You said you made, your first comment was you made $5,000.
$5,000 plus as a senior loan processor.
A month.
A month, though. You said it, you said a year.
You said a year.
Senior loan processors, if you don't know,
Yeah.
made a lot of money about
Okay.
4 years ago.
And then you said $500 an hour.
I'm sorry, did I say hour? I meant a month.
Okay, all right, just want to make
Sorry
sure,
about
because
that.
I'm signing up.
Whatever that is.
Okay, thank
And
you.
the reason I did it so he could be healthy and safe, and also so he could get his dignity back. Last year I took another recipient, and basically it was so the daughter could go out and go do something as dramatic as go grocery shopping or see a movie, because she takes care of her mother 24 hours, 7 days a week. And it's just so that she can get out and do stuff. But I still make under $800 a month. 4 years ago, in 2009, we were given a pay raise. And since then, we've had our hours cut, and we're currently at an 8% cut with 1% due back at the end by next year, but we still don't know when we're going to get our 7% back. Mr. Holmes, I'm asking you, in my district, you have 339 providers that work an average of 1,800 hours a month. We're currently in collective bargaining, and we're requesting a 70-cent increase in our pay. To your district, that will increase wages to $426,900 per year, and in turn, that would increase the earned income in our neighborhood to $566,000. That, in turn, will also lead to an increase of business revenue in our district, in our area, of $407,000, or $407,000. So I thank you for your time, and I am asking you, not just for me, not for IHSS providers, but also for the good of our county and our districts.
Right.
Please give us that pay increase.
Ann, did you get her name?
Yes, but I don't know the spelling of your last name, Sharon.
DUCHESSI.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You bet. Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to be present to speak to you today. My name is Monique Carden, and I am speaking for District 2, Mr. Wiggins. I recently was a care provider, not by choice, but by circumstances. For 8 months, we did not receive any payment at all for my services. I did this willingly because this was a relative and it was my mother. Also, when the payment did come through, I was laid off of my job, full-time employment, to become her care provider, giving me half of my wages per month, and to then be provided with only unemployment insurance, plus working that with the care provider pay that we do make. And that is considering now that we do have the 8% cut, and also the 1% that we are receiving, has brought us to show you that we have a number of 240 number of providers. The average hours worked are 1,800, and that our total hours worked per year by all of our providers would be 431,000. And with the wage increase of the 70 cents, our total additional wages per year would be 302,232. As of our total increase of earned income in the neighborhood, we would see $401,364. As of the total increase with the business revenue in the neighborhood, we would be seeing $288,632. And with Sharon, as she has said, we are here to say that we would like to see us get a raise so that we could make more money, so we could show more time and service to our recipients that we do serve as their care providers, and that we could help them more and they could see more help as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is William Reed, and I represent all the providers here in Placer County within in-home support services programs. Presently, we have about 1,500 providers that provide services for the blind, the disabled, and senior citizens. I do that to tell you, or remind you that those of you my age, we're getting a little older, and we are becoming the dominant force here in Placer County. So as we age, we would like to remain safely in our own homes. We would like to remain surrounded by our loved ones and live out our remaining years in dignity. In order to do so, we must focus on the fact that most of those whom we care for and those who care for us are senior citizens, but most importantly, we work for minimum wage. Right now, we work for approximately $10 an hour. We work on average of about 2,700,000 hours a month in caring for the seniors, the disabled, and the community. Right here in this area, we have about 50 providers that live in this area. And as you know, you cannot exist in this area on $10 an hour. So we are here to ask you for a wage increase, and just consider the fact that we bring a lot of revenue into the county. Right now, with the 70% raise, we will bring almost $1,800,000 to the county, and we get an additional raise that would increase to about $2.5 million. We know that you were in the past, that you've always supported the program, and we ask you to continue to support this program. It's a well-needed program. And one of the latest stats I came about is that an 80-year-old person living in a nursing home lives approximately 1.2 years. That same 80-year-old person living in their own home, surrounded by providers such as ourselves, lives approximately 7.2 years. I'd like for you to join me in living out those 7.2 years in my own home by giving us a raise and letting me and others be surrounded by people with compassion and caring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, William. Anyone else wish to address the board under public comment? Sir.
Good evening, Board of Supervisors, Chairman. My name is Mike Losa, and I'm the Regional Coordinator for the United Domestic Workers Union. We've spent many months across the bargaining table since we've been bargaining, and really have not gotten very far. We're here today to bring this program to the attention of the Board of Supervisors, and to remind you that collective bargaining, it's a privilege and a right, and that the cost of this program to this county is 15%. Whatever is negotiated across the bargaining table, the cost to this county is 15% of that. So I bring that to your attention because it's pennies of cost to this county. The rest is state and federal funded that comes back to the county. And even some of the 15%, most of the 15% comes back to the county. So it's actually a no cost and a very important type of program that you have just heard today. We came pretty far where we could have gone into a regular Board of Supervisor meeting in the area. But I think it's time that we come forward with you with the concern that the right to bargain it's just that. It's not sitting across the table hearing no. It's a way of trying to work mutually together to help fund this program. You received Community First Choice option monies. This monies came to this county directly because of home care providers and the lobbying that they did at the state and federal level. They even went and had a meeting with President Obama pertaining to home care. Okay, you also received funding which was called Maintenance of Effort, in which it is now a set amount that this county is going to be putting out. There's a 3.5% increase to that annually, but at least you have the starting base to know what you could budget for. This maintenance effort too was made possible, not in entirety, but mostly because of home care providers and the lobbying that they did for the program. Not very many other unions go out and lobby legislators on the behalf of the county to help fund this county and to help fund this program. So I encourage the Board of Supervisors to become familiar as to what's going on across the bargaining table and to help us move this bargaining forward, because we're going on a year and it's not pleasant. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Hello.
Hi, Supervisors and Jack Duran, you're my supervisor in my district. I have stuff written down, but I'm not going to read it.
Can we have your name, please?
My name is Ann Sharpen.
Thank you.
I have a daughter that's diagnosed with Prader-Willi syndrome, and she lives in supported living that is supported through, partially through IHSS. And it's even hard to find quality people, you know, to take care of my daughter. You know, with the money that they're getting paid and the cuts, you know, that are going on. Her program is in jeopardy. She came to supported living from a group home, an institution, where she wasn't allowed to go to the church of her choice. If one person, you know, stayed home, everybody stayed home, and she didn't have any quality of life. And now she has her own apartment. She's buying her own groceries, she's doing her own shopping, she's very independent, and this just fills my heart. And it's because of IHSS that she's able to accomplish these things, and I love her so much, and I never want to see her go back to an institution again. Thank you, Supervisors.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to address the board under public comment? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close.
Really don't want to be, no.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is I'm talking to Miss Montgomery the most, the district.
I could tell because you're wearing a Lake Tahoe necklace.
My name is Julie Hansen, and I'm my son's provider. He was born with epilepsy, cerebral palsy, and blind. Over the years, he has had a lot of care providers. If he were to go into a full care facility, which he's eligible for, he's tried once, but it was horrendous. It cost the state $4,000 at the time. And now as a care provider, I make $500, you know, which is wonderful, fine. But it's so effective to pay providers. Someday when I'm dead, I want a provider to take care of them in a decent wage too, because if you don't get a decent wage, parents it doesn't matter, but it does when you have outside help, and you will need it. And we'd like you to know that in District 5, there are 270 providers working on an average of 1,800 hours a year for a total of 485,000 hours worked. We are currently in collective bargaining and asking for 70 cents an hour increase, and that would be 340,000 additional wages per year, which in turn would increase income in the neighborhood. Because these people don't go out of their neighborhood, they don't go to San Francisco and spend their money. They will spend it in our neighborhoods and also in our closed businesses. They don't go far away to spend their $500 or whatever it is. I'm sorry we don't have money for lobbying, but we're here to ask you to please remember us. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Anyone else out there wish to address the board on any item that's not on the agenda?
I would just like to give you a copy.
Oh, please.
Of what we have been
Yeah, give it to our clerk.
by district,
Yeah.
so you could
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll now close public comment. It's closed. And now we'll move to the North Lake Tahoe Resort Association Winter Marketing Performance Report and Summer Review. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, board, for coming to Tahoe on behalf of Sandy Evans Hall, our CEO, and Ron Tree, who's back in the back taking copious notes. And I think we have a couple of our board members here as well. So thanks for being in Tahoe. So I just want to talk a little bit today about four quick items here, 4 items. A little bit of a highlight from this last fiscal year, 12-13, and some of the accomplishments and efforts that we've undertaken on your behalf as your partners up here in expending those TOT dollars to regenerate those funds back into the community. A little bit about the winter consumer marketing effort, touch on summer a little bit, and open it up for any questions that you all might have. So just a little bit of some of the highlights in the rearview mirror. This last year, we did contract with a new consumer advertising agency. We've been with the same agency that was a local agency up here for a number of years. Kind of went outside of our box a little bit and hired an agency out of San Francisco, being one of our core drive markets. And the perspective that they have brought, we've really seen some fruitions to that. I'll touch on those in a moment here. A strategic focus on the Bay Area. We had a 3-year focus on the Bay Area, given the downturn of the economy, making sure that we stayed relevant with those folks who had the easiest ability to travel to our destination. Certainly not forgetting some of the long haul or fly destination folks, but definitely a focus on the Bay Area. We did conduct a sales department review, making sure that we were on track with our sales goals. We did hire a new sales manager a year ago and have seen some good results from those as well, which I will touch on. The sales manager position right there. And really maximize the promotion of our human powered sports initiative. It's really what we feel North Tahoe is all about, given the great outdoors and the assets that we have here with the activities, is really highlighting those human powered sports initiatives. And again, we'll touch on those in a minute. We've integrated out-of-market messaging with in-market, so when our consumers get here, they're seeing the same type of messages and same type of look and feel. A little bit of a different delivery. We do a lot on the mobile side from that perspective. But again, really maximizing that message on both inbound and outbound. Marquee event acquisition and event support strategy. That's a big one for us. I've come to this board before and talked about the Ironman. I'll touch on that a little bit towards the end of the presentation. But those types of marquee events that drive a huge amount of awareness for us and a lot of travel. And we've got some data on particularly September and what's currently on the books from a reservation standpoint, and the huge increase we've seen that event has helped push. Hosted a couple of PR summits with our local partners seasonally, conducted an ad awareness study in the Bay Area market, which is important to see how our return is doing on these marketing funds. Expanded our international efforts into France with the High Sierra Visitor Council, which is a Visit California partnership. So it's basically from Truckee to Yosemite is that group. And we've hired a representation firm in France. And we're also in the UK and Australia specifically for the Tahoe region. We contracted with a new communications agency just recently, conducted a summer intercept survey last year. We'll be doing it again next year, every 2 years to see, capture some additional research data. And of course, the biggest thing we always look at is TOT growth strategies. How are we growing the TOT? We like to say heads and beds. You know, everything that we're doing is heads and beds. So real quick on conference sales review. This just gives you years going back to 07, 08. These are a total revenue on the books, and this revenue could be, could have been booked 6 years ago, it could have been booked a month ago, but it's particularly within that year. We've seen the growth now that we've seen. We saw 2012-13 coming because of the downfall. The conference business is a little bit longer to respond, both in the uptick and the downtick of an economy, because you're booking things pretty far in advance. And then you got that lull that might be a little post the consumer's travel coming back, and that's what we saw in 12-13, and now we're starting to come out of that in 13-14. Looking at the leads, total leads and total bookings, you can see the leads in the lighter blue in the bookings, and again these are year to date through 12-13. And then we took a slice at it at the calendar year when our new sales manager was on the payroll for an entire year, and the results that we've now seen from that effort. And you're seeing in the calendar year represented there with a nice increase in leads and a robust increase in those bookings. And just a little bit of where they're coming from. California and Nevada are obviously big for us, California particularly. We do a lot of association business out of there. And then followed by the DC area. That's where a lot of the association businesses are anchored. And we do get a lot of association business coming out of the DC area. Special projects, that's a review. That's one area that we put a lot of emphasis in. And really having our special events department work closely with conference sales and leisure sales to maximize these large groups that are coming in. So for instance, US Cycling, we're going to be bidding on a potential collegiate race and maybe a master's race up here. So we'll collaborate with our special events department and the conference sales department to make sure when the sales folks come back with that lead, our special events folks are picking up on that and fulfilling the RFP process and going after that piece of business. We did that with the Professional Disc Golf Association. We unfortunately lost that piece of business to Kansas City. They wanted to come in late July and have a room rate under $80 per night, which just frankly wasn't going to work. Now, we have to work with these guys, but we got to work with them within a time period that makes sense for us. Triple Crown Sports, which I know Sandy is real interested in that one and supportive of. They were just here, a great one. And Orienteering USA is coming in for a big event here in the next year. Some of our endurance race and adventure races that we go after. Obviously, Tough Mudder was just here. If you're up here last weekend and saw all the muddy people running around, that was the Tough Mudders. I'm sure a few of you were out there running that course at that same time. Ironman is coming up on September 22nd, and Amgen Tour of California we had a couple of years ago, and we continue to talk to those folks about bringing that race back up here, and they know they have to come to Tahoe, and obviously we'll be involved in that. Leisure sales, so this is our travel trade effort, the folks that work with the wholesale and trade side of our business. We are constantly looking to increase the knowledge of our product with the folks that are reselling this internationally and domestically. So some of the folks you see up there, Trail Finders, Ski Safaris out of the UK, Australia, Ski Max, Blue Power Tours, Snowcat Tours, and then Brazil and Mexico are one we're really starting to concentrate on right now, particularly Brazil with the economic growth that they're having there. Of course, they're having a little bit of strife here and there, but we're just not traveling down there quite yet. And then increasing the number of the fans. We find when we get the folks up here, our product sells itself. So we work hard to get the folks that are actually answering the phone for some of these third-party operators to come up here, do a travel fan, experience the product, and then they're much more qualified to go back and resell it to their customer as well. So switching gears here a little bit, it's like 150 degrees outside. We'll talk winter for a moment. We really put an effort into, again, the Bay Area with our new campaign and our new agency down there, and really talked about this escape. That people seem to forget that Tahoe is this close to them, and that they deserve the escape, they deserve a chance to get away and reconnect. So we had a variety of different elements out there. I won't go through them all. Forget the phone, sync the family. This was on BART messaging. It was at outdoor boards, as well as some of the ferry shuttles around San Francisco. These were power washings, where one night, I think it was December 10th, that evening, we had a group of about 20 folks going out and power washing a stencil onto the grimy streets of San Francisco. Of course, we didn't call San Francisco, they were grimy. But you can't spray paint, obviously, that's graffiti and that's not allowed. But we were helping them wash their sidewalks, just in very specific targeted areas. So we had 200 of these with 3 or 4 different messages on the key business travel zones throughout San Francisco. And it picked up a lot of press, a lot of social got behind this, so this was a fun one to watch, to go through. And again, some of those are still out there right now. They could be out there for a couple of years depending on the traffic, and we plan to go back and do a little bit more of this. The other one we played off was a sick day. A sick day is a terrible thing to waste, so we tried to make it easy for our customers to ditch work and not do it poorly. So this was a BART poster where you could take a picture of this. This is your bedside table, and take a picture, post it on Facebook, because the worst thing, you call in sick and then you post your sunburned face from the ski trip you took in Tahoe, and your boss sees it, and then you're all sorts of trouble. So we're just trying to, a little tongue-in-cheek, trying to help them out to have a good time when they came up here. So some of the performance reports, and I believe the board had received our 6-month performance report. I'm going to leave 6 of these with the clerk as well, just in case you didn't have a hard copy of it. Just some of the elements in that. Obviously the first 2 you guys are very aware of, the TOT growth. Second quarter TOT was up 18% over prior year. and third quarter through March was up 35%. And given the lack of snow that we had, obviously we had early snow and we had a great holiday season, and our resorts did a fabulous job in keeping that snow fresh, putting new snow down with snowmaking and all that. And really what we found is lots of early snow and clear roads is the great equation for a big winter up here. You know, us locals might have wanted a 3 or 4 foot dump every other day, but our visitors do not. Our winter consumer marketing gross impressions, how many people saw our message, increased 70%. 614,000 in added media negotiated by our agency, which was a 106% increase over the prior year's added value. And a 5-point increase in Bay Area ad awareness. That's the study I mentioned. So we went from a awareness of 39% to awareness of 45%. So that's people unaided just saying, all right, have you heard of messages about Tahoe and what are they? And we had the top 5 awareness messages, and again, that 5-point increase from the last time we did this 2 years ago, and we do it about every 2 years. Top cities of visitation to our website are listed there, and then our Facebook fans increased 86% over the prior period. Again, I'll leave this. It's just a little update of our last 6 months' effort, and in the very back is our metrics that kind of give you some of the data points. So shifting gears here just a little bit to talk about the spring and summer media and creative that we're moving forward with. I know this is a little bit of a lot on one slide, but basically what we're talking about here is the conversion funnel. So we got to drive awareness so people are aware of our destination and our product. We got to create that word of mouth so that they're telling their friends about it, because that's where it all seems to happen, and then you get that conversion. So we have elements in our plan that hit all 3 of these zones, ultimately, you know, getting that customer to hit our website and move to our lodging property where they actually make that booking. And then obviously lodging restaurants, activity providers, everything rolls off of that lodging piece. So this, in keeping with our kind of escape and reconnect theme of the winter, this was an ad that ran in Southwest Magazine, given that Southwest controls about 70% of the flights into Tahoe and a big number into Sacramento as well. Wanted to make sure we were getting a message in there. So hit on our golf message there. And then our kind of culture, outdoor amphitheater that's over there at Shakespeare at Sand Harbor, which is a big event for us as well. This was a program ad that was placed in that. One thing that we've been pushing for about 4 or 5 years now is our High Notes music campaign. We basically have free music outdoors somewhere in Tahoe every day of the week. I've seen Jennifer at many of those, enjoying that, Kings Beach on a Friday night, or here in Tahoe City on a Sunday. But you can get great music free in North Tahoe any time of the week. And then we get great festivals, and then also have a number of headliners coming in. So we have a campaign that we do that just helps promote that, kind of targeted into the Sacramento-Reno zone to get people out of the heat and come up here. Pandora, what better place to talk about music than Pandora? So we've got a campaign with about 2 million impressions that will target San Francisco, Sacramento, and Reno there as well. Hitting a little bit onto summer before I flip that, one of the things we talked about, and we're probably going to be moving out of a big effort into San Francisco and getting back into more of our destination profile, which is really where we should be, let our properties kind of support the drive market, although we'll always be there. One thing we wanted to take advantage of is really what the summers in San Francisco are like. If you live in San Francisco or visit in San Francisco, and Mark Twain had a famous quote, it's not that pleasant. It's not really a great summer trip. So we wanted to do a little tongue-in-cheek with our friends down there and talk to them a little bit. So we had a billboard that says, don't call it Frisco or summer. And instead, real summer, real close, and then drive them to our website. And when this campaign launched, it was during one of the big fog events that they were having down there, and so that piece worked real well. There's some concern about what some backlash might be, so we threw a couple of testers out onto the social market and got some great interaction out of the San Francisco market about how people were talking about it and how right it was and how accurate it all was. So it was a good test to see how this would work out. Another one is this, winter, spring, winter, fall. So if you're in San Francisco and you go to the beach, that's kind of what you're getting right there. And again, then we drive them to the Real Summer, Real Close tag, and then the GoTahoeNorth.com website. The good news is it'll burn off in October for our golfing fans. And here we have these in billboards, ferry buildings. That's not the only application there. So it was a good way to take advantage of a distinct issue that they have down there, but do it in a way that kind of partnered us with San Francisco. Don't call it Frisco, don't call it summer either. So we did some television. Those are the television stations that we worked with. It was basically a birthday party, outside park, all fun, and then the big fog monster comes rolling in. And as the fog monster comes rolling in, the kid on the block is sitting down, crying, his birthday's ruined, and then it cuts to all of our shots. I'm not sure if I can actually get it to play, as I think we just loaded this, but it's a 30-second spot and a 15-second spot playing both in the Bay Area and then digitally as well. That then ends with a lot of great shots of North Tahoe, the fun, the experience, and all those kind of things, and the payoff. The word of mouth piece, and we really saw this coming out strong on this campaign. It's an important one from a standpoint of making sure people are passing it along, and we did see that people were sharing it with their friends, and that word of mouth really helped us generate some additional exposure back to us. This just ran on Marketing Daily on July 15th, basically talking about the campaign and a little bit of how it is out of the box on more of a destination campaign effort, because it's not showing great shots like we normally would. And they kind of ended on saying this is key on for this market and this destination and what the summers are like. Search. So obviously on the conversion side of that funnel, it's important to get those people when they're working on the Google searches and things like that. So we spend quite a bit of effort there, again, converting that. And then Pandora, we have a distribution on Pandora this summer as well as the banners that will rotate throughout. And then TripAdvisor is another one, owning some of those California pages. When people are searching mountain Californias and beach destinations, we're making sure we're showing up on those areas there, particularly as they relate to Mammoth and Yosemite. We're competing and targeting those efforts there. So that's kind of it in a nutshell on the summer piece. I want to touch just briefly on Ironman, because I know that's coming up, and I think you guys have a resolution on your agenda tomorrow as well, so we really appreciate the support, not only from staff, but from the board as well. We've got a series of meetings coming up in August. We're really starting to get into the details with EMT EMS. The chief behind me here is involved with some of that and putting the plan together to make sure from a safety perspective, not only our visitors who are just going to be here normally, but that the athletes are going to be taken care of. And then really we're 60 days out of this weekend of this race after a couple of years worth of work. We've pretty much sold out the rooms throughout Tahoe during that week right now. Obviously there's some that are still available. What I wanted to point out, we have a M-Trip, an occupancy, monthly occupancy reporting tool that we use that our property participate in. So we can forecast what's on the books on that particular date for the next 6 months. And looking at September specifically, we got about a 41% increase in reservations on the books as of the end of June compared to last year at the end of June. So, and then that September was a busy September. It was part of a record TOT collection. So we're pushing the envelope on that. Summer as a whole, we're up 13.1%. Again, that's reservations on the books as of a particular date. Those will change and ebb and flow a little bit. More importantly, I think from the property standpoint is RevPAR, revenue per available room. So RevPAR in September is up 68%. So that's how much revenue are they making per room that is available. And that's up 68% right now, and summer as a whole is up 22%. So this effort and these types of large-scale events that we bring in, that we ask for support of, both in the community and certainly with this board as well, really drive some true economic benefit as we see these folks coming in. If you're up here much, you see the teams training. They're riding every day. They're swimming. They're practicing right now. The training camps are going on. So this is the type of thing that fits perfectly with our human-powered sports and what we're kind of going forward with that. So with that, and not to take too much of the rest of your time, I could answer any questions that the board may have.
Questions, comments?
I think the only comment that I want to make is regarding Ironman. I believe the county is going to be doing one of the rest stops.
We've got a
so we're looking
station.
for volunteers to come help.
Yep, we're going to be very actively involved.
Yeah, we appreciate that. It's going to take about 3,000 volunteers. So emails along here.
We're all ready. It's all been corralled.
Oh, good. Any other comments? Thank you so much. So great presentation, good work. All right, thanks. And now we'll move to a presentation from the Tahoe City Public Utility District regarding operations and future planning for the Tahoe City Golf Course.
Great, well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and for some of you got a chance to get out there today and play golf with us. We really appreciate that. I'm Cindy Gustafson. I'm General Manager here at the Public Utility District. Judy Friedman is here, one of our directors, and I just saw Lou, our president, is in the back, and of course Ron Trevis is one of our other elected board members here. And then our key staff, I wanted to introduce them real quickly. Matt Homolka, Assistant General Manager and District Engineer. Ramona Cruz, back in the back, is our Chief Financial Officer. Bob Bolton, Director of Parks and Recreation, gets to oversee this. Tony, is Tony still here? I don't know who all is in. Terry's in the back. Terry Veman, our District Clerk, is in the back. So thank you again. When we came to you a little over a year and a half ago talking about the acquisition of this key parcel of land, it truly was a historic moment for our community. And for some of you, you may not know that about 22 years ago, I worked for the county for a short period of time as the field deputy for a county supervisor, and was very involved in the last time our community did a community plan. And for many years we looked at this golf course property and said it really was key to the future of our community. And it's truly a historic opportunity, and we really appreciate the support. The Board of Supervisors, the Resort Association as our partners, and the Truckee Tahoe Airport District helped us in that acquisition. I did give Ann a couple of handouts that she gave you to show you the historic nature of this golf course. The golf course was built in 1917, and so it's been in continuous operation for 96 years. It's the oldest golf course in the Sierras, and was actually designed by a female golf designer, I want you men to know. So if you had any trouble out there, I know Mary and Mary Ellen didn't, and Jennifer didn't, but you guys might have had a little trouble. We could fortunately not have to play in that outfit that you see. But the golf course was originally built as an amenity for the Tahoe Tavern Hotel by the Bliss family. They hired Mae Dunn to come up and do this, and she designed it, and thus began our history. When we bought the golf course, as you may remember, it had been in the family. The Bechtold family had operated it for 64 years. They bought it in 1948 from the previous owners and had been in continuous operation under that one family. And so now here it has become part of our public amenities. So I'm going to show you, hopefully. There we go. So again, to remind you, 46.5 acres, 5 separate parcels of land, and a purchase price of $4.7 million. I was sharing with some of the folks earlier today that at one point the family had a much higher asking price, like over $20 million. So obviously when it came down to a price that seemed to make sense for our community, some of us got together with leaders in our community and then came to the Resort Association and the county to partner with this. It really is critical to addressing not only recreation needs in our community, but also environmental goals. As you know, under the TRPA rules and regulations, and the environment here at Lake Tahoe is so very special, water quality being key to that. And golf courses, big expanses of land, offer those opportunities to both provide recreation, but also to deal with environmental restoration, wetlands development, and potential SEC restoration projects. So we saw this as an opportunity to address those issues, as well as the opportunity for continued recreation, expanded recreation, as we're going to talk about in a minute, and also to look at what we can do to assist our landlocked downtown community be able to look at redevelopment areas and rehabilitation of those commercial buildings. Really, since 23 years ago when I was working for the county, not much has changed in downtown Tahoe City. And you've seen that lack of private investment has occurred a lot because of the regulations and the rules about height, density, SEZ, and we're definitely landlocked here in Tahoe City. So it's really critical to helping address some of those issues. I won't belabor these because you might remember this history, but we signed the MOU between the county, ourselves, the Airport District, and the Resort Association in April. We completed the purchase. We entered into a 5-year operating agreement with Duncan Golf, and Scott Wachowski's here from Duncan Golf. He's going to give you an update on how we're doing. The district and Duncan Golf immediately started renovations to the clubhouse and purchasing some new equipment. After 64 years in the same family ownership, there was definitely some reinvestment that needed to occur, and we were happy to work with Duncan Golf to make that happen. And then last winter, we started with our Tahoe Cross Country, a nonprofit, to offer some winter recreation as well on the property. And Kevin is here. Murnane is here from Tahoe Cross Country, and he'll just give you a quick update on what we did for the winter. And then in the spring, we really undertook the public process for planning of the property and started in on that. Matt Homolka is going to cover some of this issue with BMPs and the funding, TRPA, and then most recently just finished a bocce court, which you're going to see in a little bit, and did some tee box improvements. I mentioned our partners. The MOU calls for the 4 partners to oversee the property. We as the PUD, we hold title to it, but we really see this as we are the facilitated partner for the other 3. And so we support the oversight committee with staffing, calling the meetings, doing kind of the logistics of the committee. But the 3 other agencies also participate in the content of what we're talking about and how we're moving forward. Reinvestment to date, the purchase price, as I mentioned, was $4.7, and we've spent almost $300,000 in improvements, or are in the process of spending $300,000 in improvements. About $40,000 of that money has come from the golf course lease payments to us, to the operator, and the rest are work that we're continuing to do to update the property, bring it into compliance with TRPA's, BMPs, and working on some new signage and other factors. On our public planning process, we also gave you a handout on what we've done to date on public planning. We did an online survey through SurveyMonkey, got tremendous response. We had over 495 participants between the online survey and 2 large open houses we held at the property in March, I believe that was. Forgetting my dates. We received a tremendous amount of feedback during that planning process, and primarily what we heard was increased recreation and coordination with community reinvestment. What can we do that achieves both of those goals? And so as we continue to move forward with TRPA and finish our BMPs, our land coverage, and look at the capabilities of the property, we'll know more what the long term holds for how we can best meet environmental goals and also help our community see improvement. So with that, I wanted to reintroduce Matt Homolka, our district engineer, assistant general manager. He's going to talk a little bit about the details of the BMP project and the TRPA process.
Thank you.
All right, as Cindy mentioned, this is a very large property right in the middle of town, and we need to bring it into compliance with TRPA's BMP rules. So we are working on doing that as we speak. We've been designing it with a local firm in town, and we've been focusing on the core area of the property, meaning the parking lots, the maintenance areas, and the clubhouse. We haven't really broached, and TRPA isn't asking us to address the golf course areas directly as they treat themselves. We are looking at repaving all the dirt areas and reestablishing some of the drainage and treatment systems that already exist, and then constructing some new ones. Unfortunately, like a lot of the properties in Tahoe can get pretty easy BMP permits and just go build them. This is a very environmentally sensitive property, so we've had to take a step back with TRPA and go through land capability verification process for the entire property. That's in the works as we speak. As we expected, it is a large proportion of SEZ or environmentally sensitive areas. And then we had to go through the existing coverage verification process, essentially see where there was coverage back in the 60s and 70s and 80s and map all that to prove that these areas were covered then so we can pave them now. And again, we're right in the middle of that process. Everything looks good. We just heard from them last week that for the most part what we're showing on this map we're going to be able to do and bring it into compliance. So we're going to be try to move that forward here pretty quickly. At the same time, we're working with some of the adjacent property owners, in particular the Redneck property, which is the entrance into the golf course, to try and partner with them. They have potentially have some work to do as well. So I think that's about it on the BMPs, unless you guys have any questions specifically on those. We've also made a few other investments in the property. You can see we just finished a bocce ball court. And we were able to permit that through TRPA under a temporary permit while we were working on all the other stuff. We hope to build a second court to further enhance and bring non-golfers to the golf course and enhance the food and beverage of the golf course. So you can see that. Hopefully the new one will be right to the left if you're looking at that one. We purchased some new patio furniture, again, to get more people up there, make the restaurant a little more amenable. And the entry sign is another one we're working on and have a decent amount of money budgeted to address. It was identified immediately as a big issue for the operator of the golf course. It's too small and you can't see it. And if you know where the golf course is, it's kind of hidden behind town, it's kind of hard to see. So we're working with Ward Young on coming up with some sighting options and some designs to address the signage issues there that are obvious. So, that's it for me.
Any questions, comments?
Sorry, go ahead, Kirk.
On that issue of the access there, is there any chance, hope, plan to change the front door to the course, get it off the fairway somehow as opposed to behind the grocery store?
There is no likely access from there, and I could go back, but essentially there's private property and then there's a lot of very environmentally sensitive areas to get through. So if we were to build a road, it wouldn't require going through there. So we haven't really been looking at that at all. More about enhancing the entrance off of the highway.
But as part of, and he knows I always change what he says, so that's okay, I'm the boss. But as part of the overall planning, we do own the Fairway Community Center property. That's okay, Matt. So we own the Fairway Community Center, which is just up the road beyond the fire station. That's 2.5 acres. And during this planning process, there may be opportunities to reconfigure or to plan that as part of the golf course property because it does adjoin some of it. Whether we would be able to bring a road in that way or if that would someday become a clubhouse or some other facility for the golf course is a possibility. So again, it was why this property was so valuable that we have opportunities with adjacent public properties to think out of the box and maybe think of different ideas. That would be a very long-term solution because Matt's right, to even get a cart path through there it's very sensitive land between here and there. So.
And Matt, am I right in thinking that one of the issues with getting the bocce ball court put in was actually coverage with the tier? Can you touch on that a little bit, just because I think it, we struggle with this issue at the county, but it's interesting to hear that we're not alone.
No, we deal with coverage all the time. So yeah, they considered the bocce ball courts coverage, and by definition, we tried to argue it, but they were correct.
Even though it's a permeable.
Yeah, even though it's a permeable surface, it's not natural. It's etc. So it's like a dirt path is also considered coverage. So they consider it coverage, and the reason we were only able to do one, in the end, the lane capability area that it turned out to be in was actually Class 5 high capability land that would allow it. But because we're going through the existing coverage verification process, we don't know how much coverage we're allowed, we have on the property, so we decided to go through a temporary permit and to expedite the process for the one. And we've promised that in all of our calculations, that court we will take coverage from somewhere else if we had to address it.
One of the other suggestions that I know came up in the public discussions and the public outreach was a swimming pool. How feasible is that for the site, realistically? I mean, that's coverage as well, plus everything around it.
And we've heard many, both swimming pool, full-size Olympic ice rink, indoor, with locker rooms and I mean, every group, I think, tennis courts we heard a lot about, and the lack of public tennis courts right in the Tahoe City area, since we lost some at the elementary school who was dealing with their BMP project and had to take them out. So we heard quite a bit. The land lacks much coverage capability, and it's really going to come down to choices of what you cover it with. So it's not infeasible, but it would mean a pretty major change in what's there now and how you would reuse that coverage. There's not an abundance of coverage. So as we go through this, the oversight committee will have to look at those factors and say which ones do we want to look at, which uses. There's certainly a way to do it, but it would be in place, most likely in place of what is there now. Something else away.
And then you mentioned the ingress and egress and signage issues. I see the Rednicks are here, so I'm imagining that we'll hear from them a little bit later. So
we can start the next part of the presentation. So I did want to introduce Scott Wachowski from Duncan Golf, Vice President of Operations. Something like that. Don't know your whole bio, so you can tell them. But when we went through the process of selecting an operator, we had a 15-member committee of local residents, golfers, lodging providers. We wanted to make this a very community-oriented selection process because it was a big change for the community, going from 64 years with one family to a public agency. So as we selected an operator, we certainly looked for people that were qualified, but also for people that kind of understood our community and had a understanding of what it would mean to do business in our community. And the final decision was unanimous. Duncan Golf was by far, I shouldn't pat you on the back too much, but everybody was unanimous in wanting to select Duncan Golf as our operator at the property. And we've been very pleased with the results to date, and look forward to 3 more years at least of operations there.
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the kind introduction, and thanks for having me this afternoon. In our first year, my presentation will be very brief. In our estimation, it was successful. We didn't have a ton of concrete financial information going into the property. It was a family-run business before, so what we had was very limited. With that said,
I'm sorry, I can run it. Yeah, just there. And just aim it at the, yeah.
So in our first year, our goal, which I apologize for this slide, we're missing May up there. We got close to 11,000 rounds at the golf course. Our goal was 12,000, so pretty darn close for not having any real financial information, so we felt good about that. Next slide. In 2012, like Cindy said, it was ran by a family business for many years, so we concentrated on what we call the 3 R's. Restructuring, reestablishing, and rebranding the golf course. The restructuring was just establishing policies and procedures that we use at all of our other golf courses, food and beverage, cash handling, and everything that really goes into the structuring of the business. Reestablishing, that was one of our biggest accomplishments / challenges of the property It was very much a old boys crowd to a point. So just establishing a professional management company in the golf course was a big deal for us. Also rebranding the Tahoe City Golf Course. We did a new logo, established a database, and continued to, throughout 2012, establish that communication with the community. Next, what did we learn in our first year? If this year is the best example of that, is the shoulder seasons are going to be very important to the success of the golf course. Having an early opening this year was phenomenal for us. Having kind of a late opening last year, getting in there, the restaurant not being ready for close to a month after we got in there was critical as well to a slow start. We got out pretty good to a good start this year with the wonderful weather, which was incredible for us selling season passes. So it was a great start of the year. Cindy touched on the signage. Obviously one of our, I wouldn't say the first things that we identified with, but the signage is definitely an issue. We've done what we can with some temporary signage and hope to get some permanent signage here in the future. One of the big challenges for us up here being a golf course in Tahoe City is the seasonality, and it's a very, very short season. The first slide you can see that June was very slow, July gets very busy. August for the first 3 weeks is very busy, and then it gets very slow again for the golf course. Again, it's going to be important for us to involve the local golfer during the shoulder seasons. One thing that we've identified, we have 2 other properties in the Reno market, is that Tahoe City is very underexposed to the Reno market. So one of our goals as a company was to expose not only the golf course, but everything that's going on in Tahoe City to our local communities down in the valleys. One of the other big challenges here is there is just everything and anything going on in Tahoe City during the summer. With the concerts, the events going on. So golf is a challenge. We think one of the benefits is that it is a 9-hole golf course, so people can enjoy the lake, hiking, biking, everything else that's offered here. But there's a lot to compete with during the season. We cross-promoted all of our other facilities for Tahoe City. We have Tahoe City has discount rates. The Tahoe City pass holders have discounted rates at all of our other properties. And we believe that this increases the value at Tahoe City in regards to our local competitors here. We are in Golfing, Nevada, which is distributed in obviously Nevada, California, Utah, Colorado, and Oregon. So we feel that we're getting the word out within very renowned golfing publications to put Tahoe City Golf Course on the map. We're in development, and it's been kind of a long process. I'm a little embarrassed we don't have it done yet, but we're going to be in the kiosk here right across the way from the golf course, and hopefully we'll be in there here shortly. Ongoing promotions we have at the golf course, we have the Bridge Tender League on Monday nights, junior clinics, which has been very successful on Tuesdays. It's been, we should call it junior/adults night out. They drop the kids off for a few hours, leave them with us. We take care of them. They go out and run their errands. It's been phenomenal. We have the Wednesday night scrambles. It's a 2-person competition. It's been very successful. Nikki Schoen, Cindy can speak to this, has done a very nice job with the ladies clinic. It's been very popular this year. We do free Friday night appetizers on Friday. And then we announced we're doing 150th anniversary promotions all year. We announced a weekly pass. We're doing $1.50 specials to celebrate the 150th anniversary. A couple other ongoing promotions. We are, just this year, we have magnets in the Truckee River rafting buses. We are participating in the Excellence in Education for Golfing for Schools, which are starting to see those donations roll in here. Tahoe City Golf Course was added to the DGM truck, which is the truck that I drive, frequent each property each week. So Tahoe City's on that. We run a Member of the Month program throughout Reno as well as in Tahoe City here. That allows people to fill out a brochure when they dine at certain restaurants. We collect the data and elect one member to give them unlimited free golf for a month. We now participate in 5 parades. One of them here in Tahoe City, we participated in the Snowfest parade this past year. We sold passes at Nevada Costco's during the holiday season this past year, which we sold 156 of a 3-play pass, which gave Wolf Run, Dayton Valley, and Tahoe City. Thought that they gave great exposure for Tahoe City. And we are in Grand Wabakon's all their marketing material as their direct golf resort. So 2013 to date, we're at 2,400 paid rounds. This is as of a few weeks ago. That's up 61 rounds, which isn't a lot in comparison. We've actually had a slower June and July in the past, but had an incredible May. Food and beverage, we're up 14,000 in comparison to 2012, which we're very excited about that. A lot of that is due to having the restaurant open earlier. And then we're meeting our goals. We're just about halfway through the season. Our goal is about 400,000, and we're at 203 as of a couple weeks ago. So we're on target. We love being here, and hope to be here for 3+ years to come. So thanks for having me.
Any questions, comments? All right, good, thank you.
Great, and our next presenter is Kevin King. As I mentioned, we heard from the community that expanding recreational opportunities on the property was critical. So that's the next reading. Oh, it's already there? Okay, great. So just that arrow forward. Kevin is general manager of the Tahoe Cross Country area, which is up in the Highlands subdivision. The PUD has had that property for many years, 44 acres, but then borders into State Park and Forest Service property, and they run an incredible cross-country ski area up there as a nonprofit organization. So it was natural for us to look to partner not only with Tahoe Cross Country to do something winter sports at the golf course, but also they were willing, and Duncan Golf, hats off to Duncan Golf, was willing to partner with them as well. So we had a shared partnership between our golf course operator doing the food and beverage and Tahoe Cross Country. And we're thankful to both partners for being willing to try something out of the ordinary. And I'll let Kevin explain.
All right, thanks. So in 1999, we started as Tahoe Cross Country, a nonprofit concession partner with the Tahoe City PUD. And since then, we've established ourselves pretty well as sort of a destination place to go cross-country skiing in the Tahoe Basin. Great proximity to Tahoe City, and this year we just started with trailhead services as a mountain bike park in just above Tahoe City. The trails are literally about a half mile as the crow flies from here. So we did want to thank you in approving funding to improve the signage in that area and help put Tahoe City on the map as a great place to come. Again, tying in with non-motorized recreation. It's a great place to ski in the winter, and on the same trail is a great place to mountain bike in the summer, so we appreciate your help with that. It'll make a big difference marking the trails and letting people get around confidently on Burton Creek State Park property, PUD, Conservancy, and right around back to the community center. So as Cindy said, we were approached in the fall about offering skiing at the golf course, and we jumped on it. We think it's a great location. We thought it was a great opportunity for us to expand our operation and provide some additional terrain and services such as sledding and snowshoeing right in the middle of town, providing more exposure of the sports to the public, and it's a perfect location. We were happy to expand the partnership with the PUD. It was a great start to the season. We opened on the 22nd, which in the ski business is pretty ideal. You like maybe a little bit earlier, but news of snow, and then the snow melted off the roads, and it was clear driving for almost the entire season. So roads weren't much of a challenge. We opened December 22nd and closed in early March, and really got the bulk of the main holiday periods, and overall the operation was pretty well received. We had a lot of good feedback. Locals, we offered our current season pass holder base of around 700 skiers up at the ski area. We offered a second area in the sports park as a place to come ski, so we provided that skiing basically you've got an additional ski area included with your season pass. So we thought that would be good exposure for the sports park and for the golf course and the operation down there. And so you could ski at either area at no additional cost. The sledding hill was coming into the operation. We knew that with the demand that we had for sledding at the Nordic Center up in the Highlands area, that probably that would help carry the operation through the winter, and that ended up being true. Having a place to offer safe sledding, we think is very important, and it was very well received. We had an interchangeable package where you could sled, ski, and snowshoe, and basically enjoy the park for one low rate, which went really well. And with the amount of requests we were receiving for sledding over the years at Tahoe Cross Country, we were now able to send them to one of our other locations in town and provide families with other options. So that went over really well. Just some brief information about what we did in the winter. We did kick off with Tahoe City PUD for a grand opening fundraiser, and
It was a blizzard.
it was a blizzard. That was the bulk of the winter storm there. So, and we started realizing that with the lighting from town as well as the local ball field and the situation there, that night skiing is a great option. People have done their main activities during the day, and we started trying to offer night skiing. We bought a large number of headlamps and provided that, and people who skied there in the day were welcome to come back with the same package and grab a headlamp and go night skiing. And we think there's a lot of potential in that, as well as falling on with full moon events. And we jumped in with the Winter Olympic Heritage Celebration that happens every January. We actually hosted the Citizens Against the Clock laser biathlon event, which allows people to fire a laser rifle at targets and also ski and kind of simulate the 1960 biathlon event, which actually started biathlon in the Olympics in 1960 down on the West Shore. And Cobblestone Relay is an event which actually was kind of a favorite local event for decades. It took about an 11-year break, and we brought it back last season, skiing right through the Cobblestone Shopping Center and around the golf course. So a great event there. And as a nonprofit at the ski area up in the Highlands, we provide a free skiing for schools program. Any TTUSD school can come in and get free use of equipment and use of the facility anytime they want to book a date, as long as it's available. So we extended that, of course, to the neighboring Tahoe Lake Elementary School, and they spend quite a bit of time skiing the golf course trails at no charge. And it's again another great way to provide access and instruction for kids into active sports to keep them healthy and keep them fit. So it's kind of extending a lot of our programs that have been successful at our main location down in Tahoe City. And just to give you an idea of what we did in terms of the operation, the solid lines or the trail system that ties all the way over into the ball field to link skiing right out of the parking lot for the kids. Sledding hill just outside of, down the first tee, right outside the clubhouse, and then a walking loop, which we anticipated would be, because of the past use in the winter, a lot of people walking their dogs, a lot of locals. We wanted to accommodate that and encourage that, but minimize the conflict with people walking and damaging the groom surface. So we, thankfully we did that because that was well received as well, and the trail system kind of laid around the perimeter and then gave you several options on where to go, and we're thinking about improvements to that for next season. And so in terms of the future, we would like to experiment with increasing the amount of terrain that we offer. Signage improvements, Scott touched on that a little bit. Even though we're right basically near the highway, awareness is a challenge. We did start fairly late in the game when we realized we were going to jump in on that. So we'll have a little more time in terms of marketing and coordination with special events. And such as more relays, night races, biathlon. We are looking forward to some form of additional recreation, such as ice skating. We would love to get involved in that, and we think it would absolutely be a way to keep more people in Tahoe City and coming to Tahoe City. And we've also discussed potential links over to Tahoe Cross Country. Currently, the ski area up in the Highlands, we can link over to North Star, Brockway Summit, And we see it as another reason for people to come visit Tahoe City if there were links, groomed cross-country trail links all the way over from Tahoe City to us and potentially over to North Star. So a lot of potential there. So we appreciate the opportunity to step in and work with the PUD on this project. It's a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. So thanks.
Thank you.
Any questions for Kevin?
No, it's just a great opportunity to expand your program. It's awesome.
I do want to thank you for being dog friendly, because it's something I hear all the time is, how important it is to have places that you can go with your four-legged friend. So thank you.
Deidre Fitzpatrick is a huge fan, and she did a clip on KCRA. I didn't put it on the presentation today, but she brought her family out and did quite a bit of promotions for us. So we're thankful she lives in our district and likes to do coverage of Lake Tahoe and Tahoe City in particular.
Hey.
But on behalf of our community, on behalf of the other partners, I just really want to thank the Board of Supervisors for your tremendous support of the acquisition of this property, and we look forward to meeting more community needs and planning it in the future. And look forward to receiving you back over there for a little reception. And a putting competition, and I hear a bocce competition, if anybody's so inclined. If you have any other questions, we can.
I just want to express the board's thanks for accommodating us here this afternoon. So very well. Very well.
Thank you. We weren't expecting such a crowd, so I'm sorry we backed the chairs up, but we made sure.
Well, most of this is staff members that came up to play. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're adjourned. Thank you.